Let's get right into it. The big news everybody's going to be talking about, there's going to be a lot of controversy. Hunter Armstrong, world record holder and Olympic gold medalist, has joined the enhanced games. This is really surprising news, obviously. I didn't see this coming. Not a lot of people saw this coming. However, when you look back into the things that he's said and the things he's been public about, it's not entirely shocking. He's been very adamant about how he has a hard time being able to afford swimming professionally, swimming at that high of a level. He went on Gold Medal Mel and interviewed with him actually today, immediately following this, and talks about how he's got jobs, he's doing real estate, he's doing coaching, and he still can't afford it. And that's what ultimately led him to this decision. The big thing in the short term with this is going to be that he is saying that he's going to remain clean and that he wants to continue to pursue the 28 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. The problem there is that World Aquatics has already said that anybody with any affiliation to the Enhanced Games cannot come back, and that they are permanently banned from international and USA competition. So we're gonna get kind of a crossroads here. We're gonna see how this plays out in the immediate short term. For those of you who don't know, Enhanced has already tried to sue World Aquatics on that decision. It did not work. The main reason being that there's like you can't be promoting enhancements at those clean competitions. So I think it's going to be really interesting when they try and fight this, because Hunter Armstrong is claiming that he's going to be clean, and his whole argument is that he's just doing this so that he gets that paycheck, so that he can afford his lifestyle that helps him perform, and so that he can be the best athlete he needs to be. It's going to be interesting to see where World Aquatics falls on that. I don't see them backing down. I don't think this was the wisest decision by Hunter Armstrong to be the guinea pig on this. It's certainly not outside of his personality to really kind of take a leap like this and to be sort of the outspoken person when it comes to a decision like this. But I'm really interested to see how this plays out. I don't think it's going to work, because I think Team USA can and the swimming world as a whole can survive without Hunter Armstrong. I mean that as no disrespect to him. I think he's an amazing athlete, obviously. But like, if Ledecky were to join Enhanced or Dressel or something like that, then you would have real problems if they tried to make this, because people want to see these athletes, and these athletes bring in a lot of the attention and the revenue. You know, think of Phelps when he was in his prime. If something like this would have happened, and then he said he wanted to come back and compete, you know, I don't think anyone would try and make the argument that the World Aquatics wouldn't let him come back. You know, he was in control of swimming at that time. I think he could have kind of done whatever he wanted as long as he wasn't actually taking the enhancements. But I think Hunter Armstrong is he's just too young is the main thing, that he's not in that echelon, that category yet. But this kind of re-sparks the whole debate about the enhanced games, and there's a lot of really strong opinions about it. A lot of name calling in SwimSwam comments, which I'm not going to act like I don't enjoy reading through, but I don't think it's the best thing for the sport. I want to talk about the athlete perspective, and then kind of zoom out on the sport as a whole. When it comes to the athletes, I naturally kind of lean more pro athlete stance. And I'm going to fall that way again here. I don't blame these athletes for making these decisions, especially an athlete like, say, Cody Miller. I think that the ultimate blame on why so many athletes are taking this has to fall on USA Swimming, because they have, for decades, not done enough to prevent this from being a once every 4 years kind of sport in terms of income. They haven't done enough to try and branch out and get these athletes in positions to make money and to profit in the non-Olympic years. And the pay is kind of a joke. I mean, they were promoting this 15% increase in pay for the USA Swimming funding that you get for being there's a lot of requirements to be a part of this. Essentially, you basically have to be at the top of your game. This is the top 1% of even the pro swimmers out there getting it, and it's $45,000. I mean, that wouldn't be able to afford life in Austin, Texas, Columbus, Ohio, Los Angeles, California, where a lot of these athletes are living and competing, Gainesville, Florida. And that's not even including the fact that expenses are naturally going to be higher as a professional athlete. To reach that elite level of performance, there are expenses that regular people aren't going to have. So I think the biggest fault has to fall on USA Swimming. I don't think it falls on the athletes at all. I mentioned Cody Miller. He's a great example of this. Let's be honest, his prime was probably 10 years ago in 2016. He had the Olympic run. He went online kind of recently after that, and he was a big name because he was still pushing world's teams. He was still somewhat in the conversation. Now he's a lot older, and just naturally, as athletes do, he stopped performing as well with age. He's a little bit less of a big presence online. And he had to make the decision that's the most important thing for him. When that income slowly comes down, the range of things that are important to you slowly start to shrink until you get down to your core of why your job is important. And for a lot of people, the core of why what they do for a living is important, the ultimate, most direct reason is because it puts food on the table, that it pays for housing, that Cody Miller is a husband, he's a father. That's when things get rough, that is the most important thing to him. So when someone reaches out to him with an offer like Enhanced that can pay him six figures and can pay him what would take him years to make otherwise, his legacy is important to him and the future of the sport is important to him, but he's drowning right now in that sense, in a financial sense. I don't want to speak for him, but he has been one of the people that has spoken out about how hard it is to live as a professional swimmer. So when something like that comes up, how can you say no to that? I don't blame these guys at all. Now, switching to the another aspect of it, I think there are two things when it comes to Enhanced specifically that I have big criticisms with. One of them is the athlete health and what they're speaking on that. When you go online and you listen to these people talk about it, they use a lot of medical buzzwords. They speak in big absolutes. They'll show you these kind of isolated statistics like just their resting heart rate or their HRV, and they'll say that like this is totally healthy. Then there's no downside. There's no risk. We're medically supervised and everything's great and it only does good things for you. And I have no medical degree. That's why I'm doing this, talking about swimming. But I've spoken to people more educated in the medical world than me on this. And as one person quoted that I really liked, if there are no side effects, then there are no effects. That's just the way the human body works. You can't really ever change that. And the reason that's why the human body works is because the human body is kind of like this very complicated seesaw. And if you put more testosterone in your body, you're going to push the seesaw down to one side. So the body has to adjust to keep everything balanced. And that's going to cause changes, whether that's long-term, whether that's immediate. I don't know. I don't have a medical degree, but logically, you cannot just have no downsides and it only makes you stronger and faster and makes you jump higher. And because Brett Hawke is taking these products, he's allowed to go online and speak about this not as a worker, not as an employee of Enhanced, but as a fan and as a customer review. So he's able to get away with saying a lot more things because when he goes on a podcast to talk about it, he's not talking about it as Brett Hawke, coach of the Enhanced swim team. He's talking about it as Brett Hawke, customer of Enhanced with this positive review. And I think that's really dangerous. I am, of course, with the group of people that say that encouraging kids to take steroids is not good. And even if that's not what they're trying to do, I think naturally, if some of the biggest athletes in the sport see their role models taking steroids, they're going to be more encouraged to do it, and that's not good. I think one of the beautiful things about swimming is how much it teaches you about work ethic, and there's no shortcut. The time is the time. You have to do what you have to do. And I think to look at these athletes sort of try and circumvent that and just kind of take these little cheats here and there, it's going to affect the way that kids see them, and it's going to affect the decisions that they make. And who knows the decisions they make if they decide to take these with not nearly as much medical observation, with not nearly as much control. I think that could have really, really bad consequences. So the athlete health and the personal health is one side that I find a bit of a problem with. And then the other side of it is the overall health of the sport with something like this. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people ask whenever this happens, like, how is Enhanced affording to do this? You know, USA Swimming has had a problem affording to pay athletes and to pay the Olympic team for decades. Like, ever since swimming became big and it became broadcasted, this has been a problem. And all of a sudden, Enhanced comes out of nowhere. They're offering $100,000 to join. They're offering hundreds of thousands for world records. And the big question becomes, how are they affording this? And the answer to that is because they're not selling. The swimming is not the product that they're selling. You see, with the NFL, with the NBA, they're selling the product, which is the game, which is the storyline of the season, which is these athletes. That is their product. With Enhanced, the product is the drugs. And the athletes are basically part of a big marketing campaign. They are the avenue through which Enhanced is promoting their product. And I think that's really dangerous, because with the NFL can never decide that in order to make their brand bigger, they're going to move away from football. They're the National Football League. They can't really do that. The athletes are kind of glued together with the NFL. The NFL needs those football players, and it keeps the sport alive. With Enhanced, they could decide at any moment that their marketing campaign of having these elite athletes go and break world records so that grandma and grandpa see it on TV and decide that they can take Enhanced so that they can get back to lifting weights and playing pickleball or whatever. If they decide that that's not a sustainable marketing campaign anymore, or they have an idea to do something else, they can just disappear completely and start doing that instead, and you leave all of these Enhanced athletes completely ruined in terms of their career. They can't ever come back, at least as far as World Aquatics has said so far. And so I don't like the idea of swimming being a billboard for a drug company. I think that should be what we're most frustrated with about the Enhanced Games. Obviously, there's the implications of whether or not it's good to take these enhancements and what it shows the younger generation of swimming. But I think that that's an avenue that I don't think people talk about very much, and I think that that's just as scary and just as damaging to the sport.